The school year has been going by extremely fast, to say the least. I'm here joined by the Hudson Agriculture Education Instructor and FFA Advisor Andy Kuffel and FFA member Alicia Rodriguez. They are here ready to talk about everything and anything about agriculture education and FFA. Now, Andy, you have had the first 2 years here in Hudson. Tell me more about the experience here.
Well, so far in Hudson, it has been a whirlwind. We've had, hitting the ground running after having pandemic years, and now the kids are all excited to be back and learning new things, as I am with them. So they're a little bit more of an urban setting, where I have taught more in a rural-ish setting before, so it's kind of an exciting twist for me so far. But things are going really well. The program is now booming, which is good to see that kids are excited about agriculture when they don't have an agriculture background.
It's awfully cool to see that connection. Now, you're teaching a lot of classes. Tell me more what classes you're teaching and what some of the curriculum you may be teaching these students.
Yeah, so all of our students start with, or all of them going into the ag department, are starting with Intro to Agriculture. Well, they'll talk a little about absolutely everything in the agriculture industry. So a little bit of plants, a little bit of animals, a little bit of natural resources. And then we'll dive into animal science and plant science. And then I have a class of wildlife and natural resources. And then finally vet science. But then next year there's also going to be plant science 2 and animal science 2, so that the kids can keep diving in further. Because I have some kids right now that are sophomores going to be juniors, and they only have like one class left to take for an ag class because they've been just filling up their schedule with agriculture classes because they're passionate about it. So we need more classes for them.
So from animals to plants, you're really making connections with them in many areas. Now, part of agriculture education is FFA. Tell me more about what FFA is and how it's really incorporated into the classroom.
So FFA used to stand for Future Farmers of America, and now it's just the National FFA Organization to focus on agriculture and leadership and career success within our students. And so I have around 30 to 40 students in my room after school for an FFA meeting, and we're packed full of learning new leadership skills, going to events and contests to showcase their skills of anything that they're interested in agriculture at all, from floriculture to vet science to ag mechanics to horse judging. We cover it all.
Now, Alicia over here is reporter of the Hudson FFA chapter, and she is pretty busy in the FFA Blue Jacket. Tell me more about what your experience is.
So when I first started, I had no idea what it was, but my friend convinced me. It was a really fun idea. So what I do is floriculture and know the flower types, any tools that are needed, and then I also run the social media accounts.
Now take me back to floriculture. That's a career development event, so a contest that competes in spring. What are you doing maybe now already to prepare yourself for the contests?
So we're meeting as a team, and we have cards, flashcards, that have the flower types on them and pictures. So we each quiz each other and try and figure out what they are, and then we also make boutonnieres once in a while.
Now, to someone who doesn't really know too much about flowers, what were some of those initial misconceptions?
That there wasn't that many types, but there is a lot. A lot.
And maybe you've helped a little bit.
Just a little bit. Our bow work is still a work in progress, but we're getting there.
If only I can do my own boutonniere. Now, probably when you graduate high school, you already have that skill mastered, so maybe you can start up your own business. Is that an ambition possibly for you?
Maybe like a side business, because it is really fun to do, but I feel like it's more a hobby.
Okay, well that is so neat to hear. And you said you're also the reporter. What does that all involve?
So we're hoping to make a website for the Hudson FFA, but as of right now, we just have an Instagram account where we post about our meetings, and then we talk to other FFA chapters in Wisconsin.
Okay, well that's a cool connection point you're having. But take me back to initially, why did you join FFA?
I wanted to get out of my shell. I had just moved to Hudson. I had no friends, no idea what Hudson was like. So I met one girl and she told me to join. So that's how I ended up here.
And here you are. Have you met so many people now?
A lot. There's a lot of people I've met and made many friends in it.
Now, before we were talking earlier, you had mentioned you moved from the Twin Cities area. What has that transition been like?
It was difficult at first. My first year wasn't well, right when COVID was at its peak. So it was rough online school, but now it's definitely a lot easier having friends and clubs that I'm excited to go to.
Now, FFA has a lot of activities these next few months, especially, here in fall. What were you active this past fall in the Blue Jacket?
So we went to Fall Leadership Conference in Osseo Fairchild, and we got to talk with the officers and then meet individually with our certain officer. So I met with the state reporter. Amazing. We learned a lot on what to do as a reporter, how to make Instagram posts, how to talk with other chapters, and it was just a really fun experience.
I know what it's like to be in this jacket, and when that fall leadership workshop was a few months ago, I was in that space quite a few years ago now, but if you're unfamiliar with the FFA organization, they wear these jackets along with a few other things that's called official dress, and it's interesting to see 100 or 200 students gathered all together and being professional and wanting to connect. There's just so many opportunities to be involved in FFA. But now were you a past FFA member? Tell me a little bit about your experience and how you got to being an ag teacher and FFA advisor.
Yeah, so I started my agriculture education experience in 7th grade in small town Iowa. And so I discovered a love of agriculture there, but really I joined FFA for the leadership side of things. And I was like, yeah, sure, the other stuff, I'll get there. And then discovered a passion for it. I was a chapter officer, district officer, ran for state office, did the whole thing. And then it was actually during my senior year of high school going to district conference, and my ag teacher was like, so what is your plan for next year? And I was like, I'm going to go to Iowa State and I'm going to be a teacher. That's my plan. And he goes, what are you going to teach? Like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I have no idea. I'm going to teach high schoolers. That's all I know. He goes, you can do this for the rest of your life, right? And I went, oh my gosh, you're right. I can do that for the rest of my life. And that was history. Agriculture education was it for me, and did that all through college as well, and helped with workshops and things like that as a college student to help high schoolers and the other state officers and stuff.
How neat. One of the careers is to become an agriculture education instructor and to connect students with career opportunities as well. We had mentioned floriculture earlier, but other competitions help develop those premier leadership skills that we all share a love for and passion. Now going back to the local activities we have right here in Hudson, what's something that you're planning for, something that you're excited for these next few months?
Halftime conference, very excited for that. Go and meet with other chapters and discuss the rest of the year. And then we're also meeting with one of the state officers the next few days.
Well, that is so exciting, and I know conferences is a great way to connect. Obviously, you went to a conference a few weeks ago, and now you're back on the road again at another conference. Halftime conference, do you know too much about it?
So you only get to send 2 students from your chapter to halftime conference, and I believe it's in Stevens Point again this year. And 2 individuals get to go from every single chapter, and they get to super network to bring new ideas and grow as individuals, which is really cool for them to see.
I remember I was back at the 2020 halftime conference, so right before the pandemic, and there was just so much ideas happening, and now getting back into it after a few years of online and in person. This year it's just booming again with so many opportunities to be involved in agriculture education and FFA. And you had mentioned it earlier. This program is getting more energy and getting more momentum. Where was this program a few years ago?
So a few years ago, it was dwindling a lot. So I started at Hudson 2 years ago, and last year I had only 12 kids in my vet science class, and now this year I have 2 sections of 30. So I've from 12 to 60 is a crazy boom. And all of my classes are full from 27 to 30 kids in every single class section. So we have around 350 kids who are in an agriculture class this year alone. And it's just amazing to see with Hudson having a graduating class size of over 400 that almost a whole graduating class size is taking agriculture education from when they were barely having classes holding on before is phenomenal.
There's just so many opportunities just to get involved that we've been mentioning. But another key point to FFA too is fundraising and service, and to try to raise efforts, whether it's for conferences or for another organization, something that is prime in every other FFA chapter is the fruit fundraiser or nuts. What are your efforts, and what have you been part of in that capacity?
So we just finished our fruit sales for the year, and we had a lot more people this year participate than last year. I think we doubled our sales.
We doubled our sales from last year. We sold over 500 items, which is around $10,000 in sales.
That is crazy. And that's fruit, correct?
Mm-hmm. Fruit, meats, and cheeses.
Okay, and that fruit comes from Florida, from the southern states?
Yep, comes right down from the southern states. They box it up and it comes on a semi straight to us. Actually, in like 2 weeks is going to be showing up for us to unload a semi of 500 boxes of fruit.
Now, how much did you sell? Did you sell a few boxes, quite a few boxes?
I sold about 25 items this year, but we had a lot of people make it a competition to try and beat each other. Our president sold about 150 items.
And while it is for a good effort, who doesn't like a competition?
Oh, yes.
That's how you maybe motivate students these days.
Oh, yeah. There are some who even, if you sold enough, you got your FFA jacket was paid for by the chapter. So like if you fundraise enough, you don't have to buy your jacket and it is gifted to you. So it's a good motivator because there's many who love the blue corduroy and can't wait to have their own. So
many incentives just to get them involved and to have them more engaged in FFA opportunities and agriculture education in general. But when we're looking at just your students overall, where are their mental health at with this past year and with the past few years before that? What's the general feel like, what it's like in the classroom?
So it's kind of all over the place. So some days they're excited to be there and chipper and ready to go and learn new things, and other times they're beyond exhausted. So coming even back right after now this Thanksgiving break, there was a lot more buzz in the room because everyone's now rested. But coming back from the crazy couple of years, it's learning again how to interact with everybody, but they love opportunities. And just having, sometimes we don't have an official meeting. We'll say, yeah, it's a meeting, but really it's just social time because they have a space to go and they know there's going to be somebody to talk to there, that they start a crazy game of Uno that goes on for hours, or there's sing-alongs to like YouTube videos while other people are playing games over there. It's a good social outlet when we're not focused on business items as well. So.
It's all about the relationships.
Exactly.
I know I really value relationships in person, and to really get back into continuing that is really, really key. But now from a student perspective, what's it like after these past few years to really just a completely or more back to normal year compared to 2019? What does it feel like to be back in the classroom?
Very different. I personally like it a lot better being in person, get to see everyone's faces, discuss with my friends in person, not over a Zoom meeting. And I just feel a lot better now that everything's in real life rather than on a computer.
Now your classes, are they a lot sometimes? Tell me more about what's it like just as a high school student?
Some classes can be a lot, very difficult, stressful, but then there's some classes that I really enjoy, like animal science. It's
naturally.
It's like the perfect level. It's like engaging, so I like what's going on. But otherwise, some classes are.
Only natural. But it's so interesting just to gain a perspective where we're at, because as we go into the holidays, as we end maybe a semester, or we end trimester before winter break or have that break again, to really just reflect and gather our thoughts again of what opportunities there has been this first part of the year and how it can continue for momentum for spring semester. There's a lot of opportunities to look forward to next year, I can only imagine, for the Hudson FFA and Ag Ed department. But one last question. What are you looking forward to this next few months?
Ooh.
You both can answer it.
I'm really looking forward to how things keep shaping with students, because last year was, just keep your head above water sort of thing for everybody, for me, for them. And this year is really turning it into my classes, teaching what I want to teach and the way I want to teach it. So I'm excited for that to unfold and watch how kids keep blossoming that way. And I don't know, the officers, we have a better bond than we did last year, because now they know who I am and we know where each other stand to figure that out. So I'm excited to see what the FFA members come up with as well for this year.
How neat. Another energy, you could say. What about you?
I'm very excited to go to more conferences, and then graduation is a big thing I'm excited for. But I'm also excited to see how the younger officers grow and what they want to do next year, and see which members want to become the officers.
It's so empowering to see the next generation right after you to get in your shoes with the opportunities. Well, thanks for coming on. So many opportunities, just another energy for the Hudson FFA and Agriculture Education Department right here in the local community. For this segment on the Western Wisconsin Journal of this agriculture-specific segment, I'm Michelle Stangler, your host, with so many opportunities for this community.